0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back, pro traders. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you all the S&P 500's price structure so we can make some cash for tomorrow's market session on October the 27th, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at the S&P 500 so we can figure out exactly what we need to know. Now, based on where we last left off in yesterday's video, obviously a big congratulations for those of you who saw the live stream and were participating in the Discord. But essentially right now we have this range here, okay? Now this range has broken out and continued to go higher. And if you look at it just in terms of the rotation, which is this move defined underneath up into basically where the midpoint was, and using that as like a rotational piece to see how far this thing can extend, you can now see that we're basically looking to extend somewhere into that 680 to 679 level, okay? So that's the major objective, and as you can see, we still have yet to reach that level. So ultimately, we're still going to be looking to buy future dips in the market. That's the major game plan / theory leading into the next few days here, okay? Now, based on what we have, ultimately, I said that we can have a couple different variations, but more or less what we have going on right now is broken down into two, okay? The first one is that the prevailing trend was a cascade to the upside, okay? So we were looking at it basically as a push going higher and arguably another push going higher, okay? Now from this position, we have this 1, 2, 3. And you know what? Actually looking at it on the cash market, let me just get the exact price levels, 78.47. So you know, this is actually a higher high over here. So we can actually relabel this. Let me just back up real fast. We can relabel this now as like that bigger move, push up, push back up. And now this is technically right here. That's the high. Okay. So from this perspective, actually, we'd look for a 1, 2, 3-legged pullback to get us underneath some of these prior levels of support, which for right now is basically this level as well as this level. Okay. So there's not really too many levels of support, obviously, based on the pivots that we've gotten. Those are the two major levels. So from that position of strength, overall, we would look for a continuation back up. So again, we'd see a small pullback in the market, a continuation going lower, and then ultimately a buying opportunity off of that low to bring us all the way back up to the prior high and potentially even hitting that 679 60 level, okay? So that would be the dream scenario basically for tomorrow if and when we do see a pullback, okay? Buying this off of this level here is more advantageous because is what you'll soon see. There are other scenarios that can happen, okay? Now the other one that's probably most prominent is the fact that this is actually some sort of range in the formation of happening or has already formed, okay? Now with that being said, I can see a range arguably like right here, okay? So if that's going to be the midpoint of this range, let's kind of dull this down a bit. We can now find the deviations above and below that range, okay? So one would assume that this level right into here would be subjectively some support. And then right above, so let's just say here, is going to be resistance, okay? So from this perspective, you can see that we've already rotated down a good bit. And I would like to think that, you know, if we do get this pullback pushed down, then we won't look at this as a range. But nonetheless, if this is a range, okay, and you notice that the market opens up extremely high tomorrow, just be aware that that's just simply the rotation. Let me zoom in on this. That's just simply the rotation of the market going from the deviation underneath to now pushing above, okay? So from this perspective, just be aware that we should look for the market to do something more similar to this, okay? If we push all the way up and rotate back to that high, hitting probably that 679 also, just be aware that once we do get to that level, you kind of have to sit back and wait because ultimately we're either going to, best case scenario for the bulls, continue to go higher, in which you'll have to then look for pullbacks to buy in to retest the prior high, okay? Or this whole market's going to semi-collapse, at least in the shorter term, okay? Based on a special entry, and then we can now look for the rotation to come back down, okay? Now, if I push this off to the side really quickly, in this scenario, we are then basically now assuming that the whole rotation is continuing, okay? So because we pushed up above the range, we can now use that push up to dictate the extension going lower, okay? So in this scenario, we would expect the market to probably come back down, to these lows of support just underneath this prior low here. Okay, so we can kind of shoot this up right there just for this scenario. And that's kind of how we'd look at it as far as now, because once we get down to that low, we would expect the market to bounce in the favor of the bulls because we are in a bullish trading range. And then we can now look for rotation going back up. Okay, so there are a lot of bullish opportunities here still to be had, even if the market does collapse, like I just mentioned. Okay, now, unless we actually collapse like significantly through this level, we need to kind of keep in mind that the market's bullish, okay? But if we do break through that level, then obviously we do and will change our perspective, but we have to see significant strength as we push down, all right? We can't just see some little lollipop move lower that can be bought back up because, again, there are a few different ways to look at it, and one of those ways is the fact that we have this bullish move going up, and we are, again, still looking for a deeper pullback to go up. All right, so even though this may not turn out to be a range, if we do come down, again, from the first variation that we talked about earlier, is the sense that we're going to actually bounce still, okay? We'll do some sneaky little moves to show you how to get in, but make sure to join me in the live stream tomorrow morning so you can see exactly how I tackle this on a real chart, okay? So these are basically the variations that I'm tackling for tomorrow, everyone. If I had to say what I'm favoring, I would love to see the market do that first scenario that we talked about, actually, for us to pull back, go even lower, not too low, right in that wheelhouse of, is the market in a bear market or have we just pulled back? I'd love to be just in that little psychological state for the market, and then I'd look for buying opportunities off of this low as we go back up higher. Okay, I'm favoring a bullish reversal at that point. Again, unless we go down significantly lower, then I'll change my mind. Other than that being my primary scenario, I would actually like to see us gap to the upside, and then we can kind of figure out whether or not we're breaking out or if we're rotating back down. I don't really want to be in the middle. Okay, I don't realistically, which will probably happen, I don't want the market to open up at like 678 because at that point we just have to wait. Because again, at that point we are at the high. We should be rotating down. It's not a good spot to be in. And the overall risk to reward is not that great, okay? So if we do open up at 678 and you are watching the live stream, you'll probably see me wait until we get to some pivotal moment in which I can see that the market's either breaking out or obviously pulling back in, okay? So maybe a little bit boring in the first few hours, but there's usually a trade to be had at some point, so no worries. And besides that, everyone, that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it for right now. So be sure to join me tomorrow morning for the live stream so we can get caught up on all the good stuff on the Ninja Traders futures. And yeah, so you know exactly how to trade the market tomorrow live. So besides that, everyone, I just want to say thank you for giving me some of your time, and I will see you all on the next candle.
I know it's hard to trust so-called gurus. That's why I live stream my trades every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. The live stream isn't for you to copy my trades, it's to show proof and credibility that my strategy works. The stream is delayed and muted to protect my edge. But if you want to see everything unmuted and in real time, check out the Discord and Patreon links below. You'll get exclusive perks and the opportunity to learn the system for yourself, so you don't miss great opportunities just like this one.
All right, everyone. So you're going to be seeing a trade that I just recently took live during the stream, and ultimately you can be a part of this too, so make sure you look down below. But when taking a look at the trade that we just recently took here, it was the objective coming in was the fact that we had a really big move push to the upside, okay? Now this big move to the upside was basically counterplayed by a pullback, and subsequently our entry was to look to get in right above a couple pivots to retest the prior high, okay? So what you're seeing right now is the replay of my actual entry, which was right here at this 68.1925 area. And again, ultimately, like I was saying before, our main objective from this standpoint is to look to try to retest this prior high back at 68, let's just say 38. So what we are looking at right now is my volatility-based stop loss in perfect action, okay? Every trade and every day has a different stop loss based on the volatility of the day specific. So when taking a look at this trade specifically, you can see that we came relatively close to getting stopped out, okay? However, we did not get stopped out, and we ultimately reversed just like we were expecting. Now, obviously, a bit deeper of a correction, but everything was within the wheelhouse of what we were expecting. As you can soon see here in just a few seconds, we ended up getting that first target as it hits right there. And then with a little bit more patience, we did end up getting the second target as well. Now just be aware, after you get your first target, you do want to stop the risk, which is why we did pull the stop up to right around and or above our entry pivot, okay? Now from this standpoint, again, we were just waiting, being patient. And I was referencing in this part of the video what we talked about in our afternoon game plan videos, okay? I was basically saying that we were looking at this in terms of that green case scenario that we mentioned on our nightly recap videos, and that we were essentially looking for a continuation going higher, okay? Now we kind of phased that back to where we were. We did have that bigger move that went up, and now this is the three-legged pullback, and again, the retest to the high. Now, at the very least, I am expecting it to retest the high and potentially continue going higher, which is why we have those targets above us, okay? But in essence, we ended up getting that next target with a bit of patience. Definitely some patience was required. And then we ended up tightening up our stop loss and then getting trailed out without hitting the extension, okay? Now, all in all, this was a $2,500 trade. So if you want to be a part of the situation just like this, then be sure to look down below for the Discord / Patreon links, or come and join the muted delayed live stream every 9:30 here on the YouTube channel.